The gift no one wanted. The sky above Varnock 12 was full of ash and heat. Massive factories made the air thick and dry. Across the rocky hills, alien nobles lived in floating towers, high above the common people. One of them was Baron Trakal, ruler of Sector 9, and like many powerful aliens, he hated humans. He thought they were weak, slow, too soft. But today, a human was standing in his courtyard. Ethan Cray, a human engineer from Earth, was called to fix a broken gravity core. He didn't ask questions. He just needed work. The barons. People guided him through steel halls and brought him before the large alien himself. Baron Trakal sat in a high chair, his forearms resting on thick cushions. His voice was deep and dry. "You're the human fixer?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, sir. You'll fix my core. 3 days, no delays." Ethan checked his toolkit. "If I get access, I'll do it." The Baron gave a small laugh. "You're polite. That's boring." He clapped his hands. A door behind him opened. 2 guards entered, pushing a strange hover chair. In the chair sat a young alien girl, maybe in her 20s. Her eyes were bright green, her skin soft blue. But her body didn't move at all. Not her arms, not her legs, not even her head. Only her eyes. The Baron waved a hand like he was presenting a toy. "This is my daughter, Valera. She was once promised to another noble, but her spine broke in a flight accident. Useless now." Ethan stared in quiet shock. Baron Trakal smirked. "I'll give her to you, human, a gift, for your work." She's silent. Still, good company for a man who works alone. The guards laughed. Everyone laughed, except Ethan. He walked over slowly and looked into Valera's eyes. They blinked once. Then again, she was awake. She was aware. Ethan turned to the Baron. "This isn't a gift. This is a person." The Baron raised his brow. "You object?" "I'll fix your core, but I don't need payment like this." The Baron leaned forward. "You'll take her anyway, or you can leave now, with no credits and no contract." Ethan clenched his jaw. He looked at Valera again. She blinked twice. Fast. Scared. He sighed. "Fine, I'll take her." That evening, Ethan brought Valera to his small quarters near the power station. It wasn't much, just a metal cot, a heater, and a desk full of wires and tools. He placed her chair near the window. "I'm sorry," he said. She blinked once. He rubbed his face. "I don't know how much you understand. Maybe you don't, but I'm not going to leave you in a dark corner like trash." She blinked once. Then again, slow. Careful. He sat down in front of her. "Can you understand me?" Blink. One time. He paused. "If yes is 1 blink, blink once. Blink if no is 2 blinks, I no blink." He smiled slowly. "Well," he said, "looks like we have a start." Over the next few days, Ethan worked hard on the gravity core. But every evening, he came back and sat in front of Valera. He talked. He read her things from his datapad. He told stories from Earth. He even asked her simple yes-no questions. Each time her eyes answered, and each time her eyes grew brighter. One night, as a storm raged outside, Ethan showed her a complex engine design. "I'm trying to reroute power," he explained. "But this section won't hold under heat." He wasn't expecting an answer, but Valera blinked twice. "Is it wrong?" "Blink. Show me." She blinked fast, 3 times. He brought up the alternate diagram. She blinked. Once Ethan sat back. "You understood that?" She blinked again. He stared at her, stunned. "You're not just smart, you're brilliant." That night he didn't sleep. He just kept thinking. Why would a powerful alien noble throw away a daughter like her? Why hide such a mind behind metal and silence? And why did it take a human, a stranger, to notice her light? Back in her chair, Valera closed her eyes. For the first time in years, she didn't dream of silence. She dreamed of being seen. Eyes that speak. The workshop buzzed with soft sounds, tools clicking, wires humming. metal cooling on the bench. But, in the far corner of the room, something more important was happening. Lyra blinked, once, then again, and Ethan Cray stopped working. He turned away from the sparking panel in front of him and walked toward her. 2 blinks, he said softly. That's no. She blinked once. He smiled. And 1 blink is yes. She blinked once again. All right, he said, pulling up a stool and sitting in front of her. Let's try something different tonight. For the last 5 days, Ethan had worked during the day and sat with Lyra each night. What began as a cruel gift was now the center of his world. He didn't see a burden. He saw a mind trying to speak. He reached for his datapad and held up a simple shape. A triangle. Is this a triangle? He asked. 1 blink. Is it red? 2 blinks. Is it blue? 1 blink. He grinned. Perfect. Then he flipped to a new image, a circuit design. This is a power loop I've been struggling with. Think it's wrong? She blinked once. Ethan's grin faded into focus. You're sure? Blink. She wasn't just awake. She was thinking, understanding, solving. That night he drew up a new chart, something simple. Rows of letters, numbers, and commands. Top row, A to E. Blink once for this row. Lyra stared, then blinked once. Second, row F to J. 2 blinks. Third row. 1 blink again. He tapped the table. Okay now. Let's try to build words. You ready? 1 blink. He moved through the grid again, letter by letter. It took time. But finally, a word formed. SMART. He sat back, stunned. You're telling me you're smart? 1 long blink. A slow, proud one. He laughed. No arguments here. From that night on, everything changed. During the day, Ethan worked on the gravity core, now ahead of schedule. During the night, he built something greater, a language. They called it the blink code. 5 rows, 10 columns. Each blink moved across letters, faster each day. She learned new words in hours. He built a device to track her blinks more accurately. She corrected his spelling in real time. He told her about old Earth books. She replied, with questions, curious, sharp, funny. One evening, while he was deep in work, she blinked twice rapidly, then once. It didn't match their normal chart. He looked up, confused. She blinked again. 3, 2, then 1. He checked the input. It wasn't letters. It was coordinates. He entered them into his datapad. A power flaw in the factory grid appeared, something he never even noticed. He turned back to her, stunned. You found this? 1 blink. You're incredible. He stared at her for a long time. You've been trapped like this for how long? She blinked 4 times, then again, repeating. 4 years? Blink. 4 years, and no one noticed. She stared at him, then blinked out. No one looked. Ethan's throat tightened. He leaned forward, gently resting a hand near hers, careful not to touch without her lead. I'm looking now, he said softly, and I won't stop. Later that night, as the fire heater clicked in the corner, Ethan asked her something different. Do you want to speak with your own voice someday? She didn't blink. For a moment, he thought she didn't understand. But then slowly, 1 long blink, then another, and then another. Yes, yes, yes. That's when he made his decision. I'm going to build you a voice, he said. She blinked once. I don't know how yet, but I'll try, for as long as it takes. She blinked 3 times quickly. He checked the code, then smiled. I believe you. And in that little workshop, on a lonely alien world with only tools, silence, and a blinking code, a human and a paralyzed alien girl rewrote what connection meant, not with sound, but with trust. A mind beyond machines. The workshop had changed. Once a place for repairs and tools, now it felt like something more, a place of conversation. even if no words were spoken aloud. Ethan Cray sat at his work table, rubbing his temple. The digital schematics, floating in front of him, blinked red. Again. The power loop in the Baron's core design still wouldn't hold under heat. He had tried 6 different solutions. All failed. He turned to Valera, sitting in her usual spot, her soft green eyes locked on the schematics as if she could burn through them with her gaze. He sighed. "All right, genius. Ready to embarrass me again?" She blinked once. He chuckled. He pointed to the section on the screen. "This junction collapses when temperature passes 900 Kelvin. I've already reinforced the channels, upgraded the shield coils, rerouted the..." She blinked twice, then once, then rapidly 3 times. He paused, checked their blink code pad, and read aloud. "Check junction 3C, not heat, pulse overlap." His eyes widened. No way. He zoomed in, focused on junction 3C. A tiny line of overlapping power signals flickered, almost invisible. He had missed it. Twice. He turned to her again, stunned. "You saw that without zoom?" One blink. You read it. In real time. Another. Blink. He leaned back in his chair, breathless. "You're not just smart. You're faster than me." For the next 2 hours he let her guide him. She blinked out corrections. He followed her lead. He recoded the entire circuit based on her instructions, and when he ran the simulation again, success. 0 heat collapse. Efficiency up 22%. He looked at her with new eyes. "You're not just solving problems. Blink. You're designing solutions. Blink. You're not a project. Blink. You're a partner." He stood and paced the room. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from realization. They locked you in a chair, called you useless, and hid you like a broken toy, while you could have been designing for fleets. She blinked twice, slowly. "Wasn't allowed." Ethan's voice turned bitter. "Because of your body. Because of shame." He stared at her. Her alien race-prized power, physical perfection, speed. She was brilliant, but in a silent, still body. So they threw her away. Not anymore. That night, Ethan placed her hover chair in the center of the room and brought over a stack of tools. He connected a new interface to her blink sensor, one that would allow her to control a digital pen on the screen. "Draw what you see," he said. Within minutes, complex flow designs filled the display, grids, engine systems, even models he had never studied. She didn't blink for words this time. She wrote, labeled, explained, and Ethan just sat there watching, speechless. Later, while reviewing the data she produced, he whispered, "You should be teaching at the Imperial Science Hall." She blinked once, then again. "I'd rather stay here." He laughed. "Why?" "You listened." In that moment, something shifted in Ethan. He didn't see her as someone he was helping. He saw someone he was lucky to meet. As the evening faded into deep night, Valera blinked one more time. He checked the code and read it softly. "Let's build something that's never been built," Ethan smiled. "Together." And in a workshop on a forgotten planet, surrounded by scrap and silence, a human engineer and a paralyzed alien girl became something no one expected. Not fixer and broken, not savior and saved, but equals and creators. A secret project of hope. The door to the workshop stayed locked after dark now, not because of danger outside, but because of the secret inside. Ethan Cray moved like a man chasing a ghost. Quiet, focused, every wire placed with purpose. His tools clicked and sparked under the soft light of a single lamp. On the bench before him sat something new, a neural interface unit. Small, rough, homemade, but full of promise. Valera sat behind him in her hover chair, watching. Always watching. She blinked once. "Progress?" Ethan grinned without turning around. "Almost." She blinked again. "Failure count?" He chuckled. 7. 8 if you count the time I fried the voice relay and scared myself. Another blink. Try 9. You forgot the first 2. He laughed louder this time. Fine. 9. He looked over his shoulder at her glowing eyes. I've built ships, rebuilt cores, even patched a synthetic heart once. But this is something else. This is hope. He didn't reply, but he nodded. Deeply. The project had no name. No one knew but them. To the rest of the world, Ethan was just fixing the Baron's power systems. To the Baron himself, Valira was still a discarded joke. But here, in the heart of this small metal room, something powerful was forming. A voice. Not just words, but freedom. The prototype worked, on light signals connected to her neural blink pad. Every blink, every pause would route through a filter, converting thought patterns into sound. If it worked, she wouldn't need to blink for letters. She could speak. That night, Ethan stayed awake until the second sun began to rise. His hands were shaking, eyes red, but the device was ready. He turned to her, holding the small metal headband with trembling fingers. You still want this? She blinked once, then again. Ready. He gently placed the band on her head. Tiny lights blinked on the side. He watched the sensors sync. The system scanned her brainwaves, slow at first, then stable. Ethan opened the voice test module on his screen. Try thinking the word. Hello. Just once. Silence. A small flicker. Then, hello. A voice not clear, not smooth, but real. Her voice. For the first time, Ethan froze. Valira's eyes went wide. She blinked frantically. Is that me? He smiled, wiping his eyes. Yeah, he whispered. That's all you. She kept going. Ethan, to thank you. Each word slow, each sound broken, but each one carved through the silence like a sword through ice. Ethan dropped to his knees beside her. I told you, he said softly. We'd get here. She blinked 3 times. He checked the code, then laughed. Took you long enough. For the next hour, they tested words, built sound, trained the system to her rhythm. She even laughed once. It came out as a digital glitch, but it was hers. She said the word again. Laugh. And he joined her, because the silence between them was finally over. Later that night, she asked something different. Can I keep it? Ethan looked at the band still glowing on her head. It's yours. No one else would build it. No one else saw you, he replied. She turned to the window, watching the twin moons rise, and whispered, Now they will. He looked at her, proud. They'll hear you first, but across the estate, inside the Baron's private tower, security. Systems picked up a soft, unfamiliar voice, a recording. Ethan, thank you. The Baron narrowed his eyes. He turned to his guards. Where did that sound come from? Sector 9, from the engineer's quarters. The Baron stood slowly, eyes dark. She speaks? No one answered. He bared his teeth. This wasn't part of the joke. Back in the workshop, Valira rested. The voice band still glowed softly, and Ethan stood at the window unaware of what was coming. But in that moment, they had already changed everything. Not with war, not with weapons, but with light. And the first word she had ever truly spoken. The Baron finds out. The sound that changed everything was barely a whisper. Thank you. Just 2 words. Soft. Broken. But when the Baron heard them through his private surveillance grid, his expression hardened like steel. Baron Trakal stood in the center of his tower's control room, forearms folded, eyes locked on the frozen replay. On screen, his daughter Valira, sitting upright in that cursed hover chair, her head still unmoving, but her lips, forming sound, her voice, real. He leaned forward slowly and growled, Who gave her a voice? A silent pause. Then one of his guards spoke. Sir, the human engineer. The Baron's eyes narrowed. That pet? The guard nodded. We believe He constructed the device himself. Bring him, Trakal said, voice calm, too calm, and bring her. Hours later, Ethan Cray stood in the Baron's great hall. Beside him, Valira's chair hovered silently. She wore the interface, small, nearly invisible now under her headband. Ethan didn't lower his eyes. Valira didn't blink. The Baron rose from his throne, walking slowly toward them, the sound of his footsteps echoing like thunder. You were told to fix my gravity core, he said. I did, Ethan replied. The Baron's eyes burned. And yet you also decided to play doctor, or god, or fool. Ethan said nothing. The Baron stopped inches from Valira. My daughter was a symbol. Beautiful, promised. Then she was broken. Her voice belonged to silence. Valira's voice spoke again, quiet, shaking. You threw me away. The Baron turned to her slowly. You speak now, daughter? With stolen words? With a stranger's help? Not stolen, she said. Mine. The Baron's fists clenched. Silence, girl. Ethan stepped forward. No. Trakal's head snapped toward him. You dare? I gave her a tool. She used it. Her mind, her words, her will. You didn't see her potential, you buried it. But she's not broken. You are. A long silence. Guards stepped closer. Tension burned the room. Then the Baron laughed, a cold, hollow sound. You think because you gave her a toy and tricked her into speaking that she's strong? That she's worthy? Ethan stood firm. She's more than worthy. She's the smartest person I've ever met. She rebuilt everything, including herself. The Baron's eyes twitched. He raised one hand. Take the device. Strip it from her. If she resists, shut her down. The guards moved forward, but before they could reach her, Valira screamed, not with fear, with rage. Stop! The voice crackled. Sharp. Strong. Everyone froze. Even the Baron. She stared at him, eyes glowing. I begged for your attention. For your hand. For your help. You gave me walls, dust, and silence. But he gave me a chance. The guards hesitated. The Baron hissed. Obey me. One guard took a step, then stopped. Valira's voice rose again, clearer now. I may not walk, but I rise. I may not fight with blades, but I see weakness, and yours is fear. She looked at Ethan, then back at her father. You fear what I might become, so now, watch me. The Baron stepped back like he'd been slapped. He looked at the guards, then looked away. Cowards. They did nothing, just stood there staring at the girl who was supposed to be a joke. Now a storm. Ethan placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You okay? Not yet, she said. But I'm not afraid anymore. He smiled. I think you just rewrote your name in history. They left the Baron's estate that same night, not sneaking, not hiding. They walked through the gate, one with legs of metal, the other with legs of flesh, and everyone who saw them moved aside, not because of the human, but because the girl they laughed at had found her voice. The escape plan. The desert wind of Varnock 12 howled like a beast, tossing sand across the sky. The stars were hidden, but their goal was clear. Escape. Ethan Cray tightened the straps on the hover sled as fast as he could. He had stripped the Baron's backup transport and welded it to Valira's chair. It wasn't smooth, it wasn't quiet, but it would fly. Behind him, inside the workshop, Valira used her voice interface to control the systems. Power cells active. Stabilizer ready, we go now, or never. Ethan glanced back at her. You scared? Only if you drive. He smiled. Even now, with guards closing in, she was steady. Then, the first alarm echoed. A red flare exploded over the tower behind them. They had been discovered. Ethan jumped onto the sled, gripping the manual bar. Valira's hover chair clicked into its slot behind him. We're not outrunning them, she said through the speaker. I know, he replied. But we don't have to outrun them. She blinked. Then what? We outsmart them. They blasted out of the lower bay doors, kicking up sand as the sled roared over the canyon ridge. Spotlights turned toward them. Drones launched. Speeders followed. The chase had begun. In the open, Ethan swerved between broken rocks and sharp hills. Behind them, Baron Trakhal's personal command cruiser kept pace. Guards fired warning shots. He ducked, yelling, "We need a path." Valira's fingers twitched over her chair's input screen. Uploading terrain map. Found cave system, turned 12 degrees left. He didn't ask how she got that data. He just turned. They dove down into a hidden canyon. Drones tried to follow, but the walls narrowed. 2 crashed. 1 clipped the sled. Sparks flew. Ethan grunted. "We're hit." "Engine core stable. Just focus." Her voice had become the mission voice now. Sharp, calm, commander-like. Inside the canyon, they found the cave. Low, wide, and full of old mining rails. Ethan shut off the sled. Total darkness. Above them, the Baron's ship circled like vultures. But they were blind here, trapped in shadow. Ethan breathed hard, wiping sweat from his face. "We can't keep running." "Then we don't," Valira replied. He turned to her. "What do you mean?" Her chair lit up with a soft glow. She activated the interface they had modified days ago, now boosted with the Baron's stolen broadcast chip. "We speak." Within minutes, her signal was live, encrypted, spreading across outer satellites, to colonies, outposts, pirate relays. The transmission was short, but powerful. Her real voice came through this time, processed and clear. "I am Valira Trakhal." My voice was stolen, my value dismissed. I was called a joke, but I am still here. And I am not alone. The response came fast. Pings, light beacons, messages. Some were short. "We hear you." Others were longer. "My son is disabled." "Thank you. I hid my voice for years. You give me hope. We believed you were gone." Ethan watched it all happen. The wave she created, the moment her voice became a movement. Outside, the Baron's ship landed near the canyon entrance. He came in person now, marching with soldiers, but the cave was dark, the sled was gone. Only dust, and echoes remained. Ethan and Valira had already launched from a hidden exit tunnel. She guided him by relay, counting seconds between enemy pings. "Now. Turn. Hold speed." He followed her like a pilot follows a star, and when they broke free of the atmosphere in an old freighter, she didn't smile. She simply said, "Now we're above them." In deep orbit, among drifting satellites, they vanished. But her voice stayed behind, louder than ever. From joke to genius, the auditorium of Station Echelon Prime was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Humans, aliens, scholars, leaders, and every one of them had come for the same reason, to listen. In the center of the room stood a raised silver platform. Floating just above it was a sleek mobility frame, designed with alien and human tech fused together. It was not a throne, it was a stage. Inside that frame sat Valira, no longer in her old chair, no longer silent, no longer forgotten. Her headband shimmered faintly, connected to the neural voice system Ethan had improved with her. Her interface had a name now. Vespa. Valira's enhanced speech pattern. Amplifier. And the voice that came from it, strong, confident, hers. A hologram of the Galactic Innovation Council seal hovered above the room. Lights dimmed. All eyes turned to her. She began. "I was born into a noble house. I was praised for my form. Then, one day, I couldn't move, and the same people who praised me stopped speaking to me. I became a burden, a secret, a joke." A quiet shifted through the crowd. Some lowered their eyes, some clenched their fists. But no one spoke. They listened. One man, a human, was given me as a joke, but he didn't laugh. He talked. Then he listened. Then he gave me the only thing I had lost. Choice. Ethan Cray stood at the side of the stage, not speaking, just watching, the way he always had, a quiet force behind the storm. Valera turned her head slightly toward him. He never tried to fix me. He just made sure the world could hear me. She looked back at the crowd. I am not here to ask for pity. I am not a symbol of tragedy. I am a mind. I am an engineer. I am the designer of the relay circuit now used in your interplanetary drives. Gasps echoed across the room. Many had used her upgraded designs. They just hadn't known whose name to thank until now. And for every person who was thrown aside, for being too slow, too broken, too different, know this. Your value is not decided by the ones who walked away. It is proven by what you build when they are gone. Silence followed. Then, applause. Louder. Stronger. Then a standing ovation. Her first. Her earned one. After the ceremony, journalists from 7 systems tried to reach her. Tech leaders requested meetings. War veterans sent messages of respect, and, from a hidden channel, her father's name appeared. Baron Trakal. Valera, I saw your speech. She read it, paused, then blinked once, typed one message back. Now, you've finally listened, and she deleted the chat. Back on their ship, Ethan walked beside her through the quiet corridor. You crushed it, he said, grinning. I noticed, she replied playfully. He paused, then asked, So, what now? She looked up at him. Now, we build. A school, a lab, a place for minds that were never given a chance. I'm not the first voice that was silenced, but I want to make sure I'm the last one left unheard. Ethan nodded. I'm in. All the way. She smiled. You were always in. From the moment you looked past what I couldn't do and saw what I still could. They didn't hug. They didn't cry. They just kept walking. Together. And somewhere in the galaxy. A young girl unable to walk watched Valera's speech replayed. On a small screen, she sat taller in her chair and whispered, Me too.